Hey guys, Brady coming at you real quick before this video gets started. Just going to give you a timeline of events, just a quick few facts before you watch this video, and as I get to talking, you'll understand why I had to do this. So in the last video that I had about fixing terraces, you could see that there was a fire on the horizon that got out, and that fire ended up being pretty big. It was uncontrollable, and it burned up quite a bit of property, like not ground, but there was property damage. That fire, rumor has it, was started after a prescribed burn. So somebody had conducted a prescribed burn safely, and a few days later when the wind picked up, it had a hot ember that came out and started that fire. That prescribed burn was not us. It was not anybody associated with us, and who knows if that's actually how it got started. That's just what the rumor mill says. But because of that, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. Also in the video, you see where I talked about checking my fires. My fires had been cold. They had been out for days. But because of the wind picking up and things, it's just common practice for people to drive around their prescribed burns with water. Nothing was smoking on our end, no active flames, but it's just common practice to go around your prescribed burn and do your due diligence, especially when, you know, even a week later, if the wind picks up, the humidity drops, that is a recipe for danger. So you want to be actively still participating in that burn even though it's cold. But because that fire burnt so much property up, it had a lot of people spooked about prescribed burn, and it actually created a stigma on people that prescribed burn their pastures. It really drew a line in the sand. You could tell who was for burning and who was against burning. And the video you're about to watch was not even a couple days after that fire had gotten out. But I want people to understand that the video you are about to watch, there was a burn plan in place. We talked to our fire chiefs. We worked fire lines. We had wet lines. We had plenty of help. And this fire was lit, managed, and extinguished in a safe manner. Now, the reason I say that is because after this burn, after this video you're about to watch, there was another fire that was us, not Pheasant Run Ranch, but a buddy of ours that we burn with. It was at his pasture, and it did get out. It was a prescribed burn. He had a burn plan. He had talked to his fire chiefs. He had the right conditions. And whether it was a smoldering cow patty or any number of things, the fire had gotten out, and it did burn up some property, some fences, and things like that. And that really had some people hot. So the reason I'm doing this disclaimer video before watching this video is I want you to understand that the video you are watching is not the fire that got out. I was not there, but I feel really bad about it because Pheasant Run Ranch and myself are kind of guilty by association because we all burn together, we all work together to help each other burn. And again, because these fires keep getting out in Kansas, because they keep burning up property, there is this giant stigma, there is this line in the sand of people who are for burning and people who are totally against burning. And so I had to do this video real quick. We're not going to change our ways. Obviously, we try to learn something every time we burn, and this is one of the things that we've learned, that, you know, we are pretty dry. We've had some snows, we've had some rains, we thought we were good to be prescribed burning, but, you know, maybe we are just too dry and we need to look at other alternatives, you know, burning later, burning earlier, maybe kicking your burn to the fall. And we are, I don't want to say man enough, but we understand that a fire that gets out is bad. That is nobody's intentions. I want you to watch this video and I want you to see us laying a wet line, burning into fire breaks. I want you to see how much black layer we have before lighting a head fire. I think a lot of the people that are anti-burn just think we light a fire and stand at one end of the pasture and watch it rip across, and that's not the case. Finally, I want to wrap this up and get to the video and say that any loss of property, we feel bad for people who are affected by wildfires, whether it's California, Colorado, Kansas, they are abundant. But I think it's safe to say the reason they are abundant is because there is a huge amount of fuel. There are so many cedars, there's so many limbs. We've eliminated fire from the landscape so that when there is a fire, it's 10 times worse, 10 times hard to manage than it would be if we had fire on the landscape. I can't explain why. There's a lot of research out there that proves why fire is good and good for the landscape. I don't know why God made plants that need fire, made trees that need fire, but there's fire on the prairie, whether it was lightning strikes, whether it was Native Americans, you name it, and we can't eliminate that. So what you're watching here is us creating a backburn, a black layer that we like to call it. What it is you're lighting a backfire, which means the fire has to burn into the wind. And it gets you a nice area, almost a safety net, so that when you light the head fire and that fire's coming at you fast, it will put itself out when it hits the stuff that's already been burned up. We're taking our time around this pond here. Anywhere that the grass gets short. Here you can see a head fire coming at us. You can see how much more violent that head fire is with the wind versus the fire that's at the bottom of the screen that is just kind of trickling there, if you will. I got hot in a hurry.
Yeah, there's some fuel there.
Ooh, like a lot of fuel. Phew! Here we had some fire that started to get behind our fire line. The wind was pushing it past where we wanted to burn. It was not out of control. You can see the 2-track in the frame. Basically what we're doing is we're going to let that burn to a natural fire break, which was a 2-track. We're laying down a wet line, and we ended up, I don't have footage of it, but we ended up back burning into this. So like right here, you can see me laying down a wet line. You can see the fire burning into itself. And what we decided to do was, because the grass was really short on our, original black layer, we just went ahead and burned off this triangle. You can see here there's like a little bowl down here. We just went ahead and burned it off just for extra safety. You can see me laying down a wet line. You can see the fire stopping at a 2-track. There's the gator there parked at the 2-track. And again, I don't have footage of it, but right where Tom's standing, the guy in the black hoodie, we went ahead and lit a fire right off the wet line that I'm creating to burn back into what's burning there. And the only reason we did that was for an extra layer of safety, just because the grass was kind of short. Worse than a fire that burns too hot is a fire that doesn't burn at all, that you think is out, but it's not really burnt together good, didn't burn up the grass real good. So we're just making a wet line. We'll burn off that wet line back into that fire that's going, and then we can confidently continue the rest of our burn here.
here. Just keep buzzing back and forth on that whole west side to make sure we keep that.
So here we're filling up our slide-in sprayer unit with extra water. You can see we had plenty of water on the premises. We've got four-wheelers and Rangers and 2 slide-in fire units and a bunch of extra water on hand. Somebody left the pump running, that's why we got a mud puddle here around the truck. But anyway, you never want to be without water. There's no such thing as too much water on a prescribed burn. That's how a lot of accidents happen, is everybody runs out of water at the same time, or you don't have enough water when you need it. So it's good to just carry an extra tank like that. Here you can see our black layer. This is a back burn. You can see how much we let that burn just real slow and easy before lighting a head fire that will burn out once it hits that. Another tip here, we got this shot of filling water, but we put Dawn dish soap, or just dish soap in general, in our water. Makes the water a little stickier, a little shinier. Helps with putting out fire. So we're laying a wet line here, igniting off the wet line, and then there's somebody else coming behind me putting out that head fire off of your ignition. You can see where some of this grass is kind of patchy and smoldering, and that's what we're talking about, where we burnt that other spot off for better insurance, because you want things to burn together clean and be completely black. You see at the bottom of the screen how patchy it is. We took our time burning here because that's how a fire can get out of your prescribed burn, if it's able to jump through that black layer. So we got a pretty good black layer back here. They just lit the head fire. I got some youth turkey hunters coming in tonight. So, youth turkey hunters and their dads, parents. Oh! So, I've got to bounce. They got plenty of help. This is under control. They're going to light this head fire, and they're going to get out of here. I'm going to try and get the drone up in the air real quick. Get some drone shots of this, and then I'm bouncing out. And, yeah. Another successful burn in the books.